All right, what's good, homies? It's your man King Ray Ray. When you want to embody the distinction of a king or queen, you have to embody that distinction with your actions. If you go to a kingdom, any kingdom, where there's a monarchy, you can tell the king and queen from everyone else by the way they carry themselves, of course, the way they dress, the regal embodiment of their position, and also they live in the castle and they sit on a throne, which means they're above everyone else, but not just in their own minds, in the minds of the people. The people look at them and elevate them in their own minds as well. You have to understand that we're not all kings and queens. Although we want to be, and although we act like we are, and a lot of times we talk like we are, the bottom line is we are not all kings and queens, and no one can deny that. See, in order for you to be a king, you must love yourself enough to avoid other people's negative energy. Because not only is their energy negative, but their outlooks are negative. And if you surround yourself with enough negative outlooks, you can soon find that you embody some of those negative outlooks. And before you know, you're looking at yourself in a less positive light. Why? Not because you view yourself that way, but because people have convinced you that you view yourself in too lofty an outlook. You understand what I'm saying? People will tell you, tone it down. People will say your confidence is cockiness. They will take everything that you stand on and everything that you believe in and try to turn it into a negative for you. And we all instinctively as humans, not all, but most of us want to stay away from any type of negative outlooks on us or any type of negative perpetuation of an image of ourselves. See, ordinary people want to shame those of us who are extraordinary into dumbing down our value. That's why you always hear people say things like an alpha male doesn't have to say he's alpha. But you never hear them say that about any other distinction. They never say a rich man doesn't have to say he's rich. They never say a teacher doesn't have to say he's a teacher. They don't never say an intellectual man doesn't have to say he's intellectual. They never say that a barber doesn't have to say a barber. It's simply an alpha man because alpha indicates the top level of manhood and masculinity. And they say if they can't claim that level, how dare you and I claim that level? But then again, we go back to that love yourself enough to avoid other people's negative energy. Okay, somebody may say, man, you're not alpha. Okay, cool. That's their opinion. You know, listen, man, listen. Opinions are like booties, man. Everyone has one, and they stink to everyone but us. And sometimes our opinions even stink to us. And we have to understand that. Those people just want to shame you into being more normal. They want to shame you into being down on their level. Now, what's better? For a man to live on a level that he's accustomed to living on, a level that he's equipped for, or for a man to dumb himself down and live on a level that's beneath him and be totally dissatisfied with his life? See, what you got to understand is women choose the alpha male. Men know this. But see, men will twist that and say, okay, that man over there with money, women choose him for his money, but he's alpha because he gets money. Or that man over there, he's a nice guy, and women choose him because he's a nice guy, but he's alpha. No, this is the thing. The man with money, women don't choose him. Women choose his money. Women see him as a come up. That's not women choosing you. That's women choosing your stuff. The alpha male has an energy that's bestowed upon him from the Most High. They're women, not all women, because not all women even understand what the energy of the Most High is, but the woman who's supposed to be in your life, she's drawn to that energy. That's if you even want to have that type of interaction with a woman. So when women choose the alpha, then beta males automatically go into dirty Mac mode. You know, they do weird things and say strange things and talk bad about guys and point particular things out, man. Let me tell you the worst thing that a man can do, man, is point out another man's appearance to women. Well, look at him. He ain't all that. Look at him. Look how he do this. Look how he all that. You never know what that man has gone through. You never know what caused him to be that way. And guys say that, you know, you can not be who you want to be if that don't get women. Like you should be who you got to be to get women. No, you should be who you want to be to get blessings from God. You should be who you want to be to have that peace of mind that only God can bestow upon you. You find me a man who has no relationship with God. I find you a man who has no peace of mind. A man without peace of mind cannot effectively rule people because he can't effectively rule himself. Something as simple as health is wealth. Yes, health is wealth. But how do you get healthy? By going to the gym, working out? No, you can get fit like that, but fit don't mean healthy. You can get fit in ways that are unhealthy. Ask professional bodybuilders. Ask some natural bodybuilders with bad joints, bad backs, bad hips, bad knees, lifting 500 pounds on a regular basis. We're not oxen. We're not mules. Our bodies weren't equipped to lift like that. So do it while you're young, but you're going to pay for it while you're old. If you even live to be old. See, alpha kings want the riches. So health is wealth. God tells you how to eat healthy. All these guys with all these different distinctions about how you're supposed to eat, well, God tells us as the children of Israel, he tells us how we're supposed to eat. Every meat that we're supposed to eat is there. Every meat we're not supposed to eat is not there. Now, granted, not eating meat, I think, gives you an added blessing if you choose to do that, because you got to think about it. When the children of Israel came out of Egypt, they didn't have meat. They cried for meat. If they hadn't cried for meat, perhaps those laws about meat wouldn't have even been in there if they had just been okay with not eating meat. But since they were, there were laws and stipulations created where, okay, these are the meats you can eat. These meats won't defile your body. Health is more than just how you look. Health is more than just how you feel physically. The way you feel physically, the way you look physically, but the way you feel mentally, the way you feel emotionally, the way you feel spiritually. That's also health. See, there's a certain type of people that we must avoid. And this is going to sound rather cocky, a little bit brash. But there's a certain type of people you should avoid because they are beneath you. We're not all on the same level. We're not all equal. We're not all the same. We're not ever going to all be the same. There are distinctions that we have as men. There are distinctions that women have. There are distinctions that different nationalities have. So let's stop this whole nonsense about we're all equal. There are people who are beneath you. There are people who are above you. The goal is never to be on the level of the people beneath you. The goal is to always elevate to the level of the people above you and beyond. You find me someone who has no relationship with God, then spiritually you're above them. You find someone who's a millionaire, you got 10 cents financially, they're above you. There are different levels of life. There are different aspects of life. And the goal as an alpha male, as an alpha king, is to elevate as high as you can on all of those levels. So you have some men that say, I'm going to be righteous, but I'm going to be broke because a rich man can't be righteous. You crazy. Look at all the riches and wealth that God promised the children of Israel if they just live by statutes and commandments. Now, I don't know what God you serve, but the God I serve tells me if I apply those statutes and commandments to my life, man, to live a life that's pleasing to God, then he's going to bestow manifold blessings on me. So I look forward to my blessings. Anytime in my life when I was broke, I was struggling. Spiritually, I was struggling. Your moral compass should govern your interaction with the world. And a lot of people don't have a moral compass. And if you don't have a moral compass, how are you even governing your interaction with the world? Who's telling you what to do? Who's telling you what to say? That's why so many men change their views and change how they do things and change how they see things every year. Why? It's not because of growth. Growth takes longer than a year. Growth is almost a decade thing. It takes you those 10 years from 30 to 40 to get to where you are at 40. You can't get there by 32. No one can. It takes you those 10 years to get to where you are at 30 from 20. You can't get there by 22. No one can. No matter how advanced you are by 22, you'll never get to where you're going to be at 30 by the time you're 22. Now, if I'm further along than you at 22, that's something totally different. What I'm saying is no matter where you are at 22, you're going to be further along in your development as a man by the time you get 30. That's how life is. And we always said, man, when you get 30, you don't think the same you did when you were 20. But when you're 23, you probably still think the same. You're learning some things. You're figuring out some things that work and don't work, but your outlook on life is still the same. So your moral compass must govern you because that moral compass never changes. If you use a moral compass to govern your actions, then everything that you do throughout your life will always be morally sound, because morality doesn't change. Morality doesn't shift. Morality doesn't keep up with the Joneses. Morality doesn't shift with societal expectations and societal norms. A man with no moral compass is a man who will do anything under the right conditions. I promise you that. A man with no moral compass will do anything that the conditions demand. You take that same man who's paid, get him down to his very last compound where he don't know how he's going to eat. You never know what kind of unscrupulous things he's going to do. You take that same woman who is not happy with the man she's with, then there's no telling how low she'll go and how many men she'll go be with or whatever she's going to do. People who don't have a moral compass to govern them are governed by their emotions, are governed by their lust, are governed by their greed. And that's just real, man. See, the best way to learn in life is to learn from others' mistakes as often as possible, because wisdom is royal. There are no dumb kings. There are no dumb rulers. There are no dumb leaders. Even if you put someone in a leadership position, if they're not performing as a leader, then you can't call them a leader. You can give anybody a position. I can make you the starting point guard for the Los Angeles Lakers and you never picked up a basketball in your life. Does that mean you're going to be an effective player? No. Does that mean we're going to call you a player? No, we're going to call you a guy that's in the league looking crazy. Learn from others' mistakes as often as possible, because wisdom is royal. And peace of mind comes from learning from others' mistakes. The more mistakes you have to learn the hard way, the less peace of mind you have, because the more beaten and downtrodden you are. You can be browbeaten and downtrodden by having to go through so many tough experiences when you could have just learned the majority of these things from watching other people's mistakes. That's why you always listen. That's why when it comes to relationships, you never deal with a woman who doesn't listen. If she can't listen, then she's not going to start listening all of a sudden. Listening comes from learning young, that when you listen, you learn. It's that simple. When you listen, you learn. Hence the term, listen and learn. If you listen, you learn. If you're talking, you don't. You can't teach someone who's always talking when you're trying to teach. Someone who always has something to say when you're trying to talk. You know why? Because once they realize the part they want to respond to, they tune out the rest of it and stick to what they want to say. Kings don't attack women. You see, that was just a lesson in women. That wasn't about attacking women. Kings don't attack women. We conquer women, if we want to deal with them at all. In this modern society, it's perfectly okay to be a king without a queen, because sometimes the queen brings a whole lot of headaches with her. And as time progresses in this society, more and more times than not, the queen is going to bring some headaches. More headaches than you have to deal with as a king who has peace of mind. So when you hear a man attacking women and saying, oh, women are this and women are that, women are this and that, that man is not a king. That man is weak. That man has a weak outlook. Now, granted, attacking the actions of women, attacking the actions of men is one thing, but actions are relegated to certain groups. You see what I'm saying? If you have groups of men who are lifetime criminals and that's all they do, when you talk about the life of the lifetime criminal and the effects of the lifetime criminal on society, you can't be referring that to the guys over there who have always been on the straight and narrow, the guys who have gone and gotten educations, or the guys who have brought into the family business and grown into the family business and elevated the family business. You can't group these guys together the same way you can't group women together. You can't say those women over there who are always twerking are the same as those women over there who cover their bodies up when they come outside, who don't even like men looking at them like a piece of meat. You can't group everyone together, but you have these guys who just group all women together. And guys who group all women together are not kings. They're peasants. And that's just the reality of it. Now, when we talk about the underlying nature of the female, yes, the underlying nature of the female, the underlying nature of the male, the underlying nature of the dog, the underlying nature of the ant, the underlying nature of the honeybee. Yes, everyone has its own nature, but we're not talking about nature. We're talking about actions. We're talking about actions. We're talking about effect on society. We're talking about position in society. These are some of the things that separate kings and queens from peasants and handmaids. Kings are born leaders. You know, you always say that, well, you can't lead until you follow. Okay, we follow God. Is that good enough for you? We need to follow somebody else too? Like once we follow God, do we need to follow Jimmy Bean too? Who else is there? Yes. Before you can lead, you must learn to follow. But before you can be a true effective leader, you must learn to follow God. Before you can lead the people, you must learn to follow God. Before you can lead a woman, you must learn to follow God. That's why so many men are in these situations where they can't lead a woman. You can't lead a woman because you can't follow God. God is the ultimate leader. If you learn how to follow the ultimate leader, then you're going to learn how to teach everyone under you. That's just the reality of it. The gift and reward, the gift and punishment, the reward and punishment of teaching someone, of leading someone. You figure that out, man, by learning how to follow God. Many men don't follow God. Many men don't even reverence God at all. Many men don't even believe God exists. Learning and following are not the same. Learning to be a leader is different from learning to be a follower. You see what I'm saying? Learning to be a leader is different from learning to be a follower because you don't have to learn to be a follower. You just have to follow something. Like you don't have to learn how to follow God. Following is just saying, okay, you're the leader, let's go. Wherever you say we're going, we're going. That's the problem with the 50-50 relationship. Who's the leader in the 50-50 relationship? The leader leads, the follower follows. What are we going to do? I lead on Mondays, you lead on Tuesdays? That's not how that goes. That's why in the corporate structure, everyone has their position. Yes, when it comes down to making the ultimate decision, probably the chairman of the board and the president of the company have the same power when it comes to that. But when it comes to everyday responsibility relegation, they have different responsibilities, even though they have the same amount of equal power when it's all said and done. So when you look at a relationship, for you to go into a partnership, a 50-50 partnership, then you're pretty much saying that the woman has a position of either the president or the chairman. Why would you do that? Why would a king do that? You've never gone into a kingdom and the king and queen have equal power. Find me an example of a king and queen with equal power. Find me an example of that. Exactly. I'll wait. Tell me on the next show if you can find it, because you ain't going to find it by the time this one over. And that's the problem with the majority of society today. That's why there aren't many kings and queens, because no one wants to follow God. A man follows God, he becomes a king. A woman follows a man who follows God, she becomes a queen. Everyone else is just a peasant or a handmaid. That's just the reality of it. The reality is this. You should only be engaging intimately with high quality women, not high caliber women. But when we talk about high quality women, man, we're talking about the type of woman who has quality. What is quality? Of course, we're talking about the qualities that we have, which are the qualities that connect us to God. Those virtuous qualities. A woman can't have virtuous value. She can have virtuous qualities. Virtue is a quality, man. Virtue is a gift from God. So if you come across a virtuous woman, she is high quality. Any woman who is not virtuous is not high quality, even if she is a virgin. If she is a virgin, but spiritually she has low moral fiber, or she is not high quality spiritual and she is not virtuous, it doesn't matter. You can have a virgin, evil woman. I'm quite sure there's a witch somewhere who's a virgin. I'm quite sure there's a virgin somewhere, man, who will throw voodoo on you in a minute. I'm quite sure there's a virgin somewhere, man, who has no positive upbringing, who has no understanding of what it means to be a woman, to be feminine, to be submissive. So those two things have to go hand in hand. We talk a lot about virgins. Yes, when it comes to her intimacy, yes, we want a woman who's a virgin, but we also want a woman who has been taught how to be a woman. That's a woman who has quite high quality. It's like a virtuous woman versus gasoline. You know, you can have a woman that's high octane, boy. I'm talking about a high octane woman. But if she has no virtue, what good is she to a king? What good is she to an alpha king? What good is she to a godly man? What good is she to a man of high moral fiber? She is no good. I want you men to make absolute certain that your words and actions mirror one another. One of the keys to being successful in life, one of the keys to having peace of mind, is to make sure that your words and actions are on one accord, which means your mind and your spirit are on one accord. Your spirit is guiding your mind is guiding your actions. So you look at your words and actions, they should mirror one another. They should mirror one another. And if they don't mirror one another, don't disrespect God by calling yourself a man of God when you know you're out here living foul behind closed doors. When you know you're out here doing things behind closed doors that you shouldn't be doing. Always protect your crown, your castle, and if you are so blessed and choose to indulge, your virtuous queen. All of these things are gifts from God for the Alpha King. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you mean have to say, of course. King Ray Ray. Peace to the kingdom. I'm out.